Hey there, builders and makers. Ever wanted to create cool electronic gadgets without needing complicated soldering? That's where the breadboard comes in handy. Imagine it as a Lego set for electronics, letting you connect wires and components in countless ways. It's a fantastic tool for beginners and seasoned pros alike, allowing you to experiment, prototype, and bring your electronic ideas to life. Breadboards are like temporary circuit boards. Instead of soldering, you just plug things in. This makes it super easy to change things around, test different ideas, or fix mistakes. No heat, no mess, just pure electronic fun. Whether you dream of building robots, programming microcontrollers, or simply understanding how circuits work, the breadboard is your gateway to the exciting world of electronics. It's the perfect starting point for anyone curious about electronics and eager to dive in and start building. So, are you ready to unleash your inner inventor? Let's jump right in and explore the wonderful world of breadboards. Before we start building, let's get familiar with the breadboard itself. Don't worry, it's not as complicated as it looks. Think of it as a grid, with rows and columns of tiny holes called contacts. These contacts are where you'll plug in your components and wires. On most breadboards, you'll notice two long rows running along the top and bottom edges. These are the power rails, and they're usually marked with plus and signs. The plus rail is for the positive power supply, and the rail is for the negative or ground connection. Think of them as the main power lines for your circuit. The rest of the breadboard is made up of terminal strips. Each strip has a row of 5 contacts connected. This means if you plug 2 components into the same row, they are electrically connected. Finally, you'll often find a gap in the middle of the breadboard. This is the IC well, designed to hold integrated circuits, ICs, neatly. We'll learn more about ICs later, but for now, just remember that they're like tiny computer chips that can do all sorts of cool things. Now that you know your way around a breadboard, let's move on to the fun part, building circuits. Ready to see the magic of electronics in action? Let's build a simple circuit to light up an LED. An LED, or light-emitting diode, is like a tiny light bulb that only allows electricity to flow in one direction. Here's what you'll need: a breadboard, an LED, a resistor around 220 ohms, jumper wires, and a power source, like a battery pack. Now let's connect everything. First, connect the positive wire from your battery pack to the plus power rail on your breadboard. Connect the negative wire to the else power rail. Next, LEDs have a longer positive leg and a shorter negative leg. Insert the longer leg into a hole on the plus power rail. Insert the shorter leg into an empty row on your breadboard. Then, resistors help control the flow of electricity. Connect one leg of the resistor to the same row as the LED's shorter leg. Connect the other leg of the resistor to an empty row on the power rail. Finally, use a jumper wire to connect the row with the resistor's second leg to the power rail, and voila, your LED should light up. Congratulations, you've just built your first circuit. Section 4, Breadboard Mastery, Tips and Tricks. Now that you've conquered your first circuit, here are a few tips to become a breadboard pro. Organize your wires. Use different colored jumper wires to keep track of your connections. It'll make your circuit easier to understand and troubleshoot. Gently bend the legs of your components before inserting them into the breadboard. This ensures a secure connection and prevents them from falling out. The shortest path. When connecting components, try to use the shortest possible wire paths. This helps keep your circuit neat and organized. Power down. Always disconnect the power source before making changes to your circuit. This prevents accidental short circuits and protects your components. Double-check your connections before powering on your circuit. Double-check all your connections to ensure everything is in the right place. Remember, practice makes perfect. The more you experiment with your breadboard, the more comfortable you'll become with building and troubleshooting circuits. Section 5, Beyond the Basics, Exploring More Complex Circuits. The LED circuit is just the beginning. With a breadboard, you can create an endless variety of circuits, from simple switches to complex microcontrollers. Want to control your LED with a button? You can build a circuit for that. Curious about how sensors work? Breadboards let you experiment with light sensors, temperature sensors, and more. You can even connect your breadboard to a computer and start programming microcontrollers to create interactive projects. The possibilities are limitless. Start with simple projects and gradually challenge yourself with more complex circuits. You'll be amazed at what you can create with a little creativity and a breadboard. Section 6. Troubleshooting when things don't go as planned. Even seasoned electronics enthusiasts run into problems sometimes. Don't worry if your circuit doesn't work the first time, it's all part of the learning process. Here are a few troubleshooting tips. Check your power. Make sure your power source is connected correctly and has enough power. Try replacing the batteries if needed. Inspect your connections. Double check that all your components are connected correctly and securely. Look for loose wires or components that might not be making good contact. Test your components. Sometimes components can be faulty. Try replacing each component one by one with a known working one to see if that solves the problem. Examine your circuit. Carefully examine your circuit diagram and compare it to your breadboard setup. Make sure you haven't missed any connections or placed any components in the wrong place. Take a break. If you're feeling stuck, take a break and come back to it later with fresh eyes. Sometimes a fresh perspective is all you need to spot the problem. Remember, troubleshooting is a valuable skill in electronics. It teaches you to think critically, analyze problems, and find creative solutions. Section 7. Experiment and explore. The world of electronics awaits. Congratulations, you've taken your first steps into the fascinating world of electronics. The breadboard is your creative playground, a place where you can experiment, explore, and bring your electronic ideas to life. Don't be afraid to experiment, make mistakes, and learn from them. Start with simple circuits, gradually challenge yourself with more complex projects, and never stop exploring. There's an entire universe of electronic possibilities waiting to be discovered. So, what are you waiting for? Grab a breadboard, gather your components, and let your imagination run wild. The world of electronics is yours to explore.